You don't forget the ones you couldn't save. But the ones you did, the ones you barely pulled back from the edge, sometimes they haunt you just the same. I had only one chance to find her. Just one. If I'd gone left instead of right, if I'd been 5 minutes slower, if I hadn't heard that sound, she'd be gone. And I'd be carrying a whole different kind of weight. That little girl, she still visits me, not in person, but in my thoughts, in the silence, when the rain starts falling. My name's Carl Henderson. I'm 68 now, retired fireman from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I spent 31 years with the department, most of it stationed out on the edge of the city near the foothills, closer to the sticks than the skyline. Been retired going on 7 years now. Live in a small place just outside town. Bit of land, couple of chickens, peace and quiet. That's what I wanted, you know. After everything, silence, time to think, time to not think. But the funny thing is, when it finally gets quiet, that's when the memories start talking the loudest. I ain't the kind of man that talks about feelings much. Never have been. Was raised to keep things in, get the job done, move on. That's what you did in the department too. You showed up, did your shift, kept your mouth shut. But some things, they don't move on. They stay with you. People think firemen just deal with fires. Nah, we deal with people. Broken ones, lost ones, people on the worst day of their lives. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you get to be the reason someone's life keeps going. That day, the one I want to talk about, it wasn't even a fire call. Wasn't sirens and smoke and flames. It was a search. A little girl, 6 years old, went missing out in the woods with her folks. Storm coming in, sun dropping fast, and me just hoping I wasn't already too late. Back then, our station handled a little bit of everything. Brush fires, car wrecks, medical, search and rescue, whatever came our way. Wasn't like the city stations with their shiny engines and big crews. Out where we were, it was lean. 2, maybe 3 guys on shift. 1 engine, 1 brush truck, and a lot of back roads that didn't show up right on the map. We knew every dirt trail, every creek crossing. We had to. 'Cause out there, GPS won't save you. And when someone calls 911, they don't care if you're lost too. Most calls were quiet. Tree down, smoke sighting, false alarms. Sometimes we went a whole day with nothing but coffee and checking hoses. But then there were the ones that hit different. Kids especially. When that radio chirps and the dispatcher says, "We got a missing child," everything changes. You feel it in your gut. We had a lot of wooded areas around Chattanooga. The kind of places where families went for a picnic or a little hike without realizing how fast you could get turned around. No cell service, no landmarks, just green and more green. And if weather turns on you, you're in real trouble. We trained for it, sure, but training don't teach you how to look a parent in the eye when their baby's gone. That's something else. I remember the older guys used to say, most searches, you're not looking for someone alive. You're looking for what's left. But I never could accept that. Not when it came to kids. You go in like it's your own. You have to. And when the rain starts falling and the daylight's running out, and you know you've only got hours, maybe less, that's when the job stops being a job. It turns into a promise. That was the kind of call we got that night. And I still remember the weight in my chest when it came in. It was late in the shift. One of those long, dragging days where the rain don't know if it wants to fall or just hang there, heavy in the air. I remember the sky, real low and grey, like it was crouching down on top of us. You could feel the storm building in your bones. I had that ache in my knees, the one that always came before a bad one. We were just starting to clean up for the night. Grabbed coffee, kicked back. I remember my boots were already off. Then the radio lit up. Dispatch to Station 9. Be advised. Possible child missing. Last seen near Signal Creek Trail. Female, age 6. Units en route. I sat up fast. Didn't even wait for the second repeat. Boots went back on. Lights on. We were moving. Missing child. 6 years old. That's not a wait-and-see call. That's a go now. The details came in slow as we drove. Family from out of town, visiting relatives for the weekend. Went for a short hike before the rain came. Dad turned his back for maybe 10 seconds to adjust his pack. She was gone. No scream, no noise, just gone. Now, look, most folks think, she probably wandered off. She'll be close. But in the woods out here, it don't take much. One wrong turn, one little slope, one patch of leaves that looks like a trail but ain't. And the thing about Tennessee woods, they're thick, the kind that swallow sound. You can be 20 feet from someone and not hear a damn thing. The rain had started by the time we reached the trailhead. Not a downpour, but that steady cold drizzle that seeps into your clothes. Makes everything harder. Searching, moving, even thinking. There were already a couple deputies on scene, and the girl's parents were there. The dad pacing in circles, wet to the bone, yelling her name. And the mom just frozen, like all the air had left her. I remember how she looked at me. She didn't even say anything at first, just locked eyes with me, like she was begging without words, like she was handing me her child. I nodded. Didn't say we'll find her. Didn't say it's gonna be okay. I don't believe in giving false comfort. All I said was, we're going now. And we did. We spread out fast. It was getting darker by the minute, and every drop of rain felt like a clock ticking down. You see, when a child goes missing in the woods, you've got maybe 4 hours, max, before hypothermia becomes a real threat. Less if they're wet. And this little girl, she was out there with a light jacket and tennis shoes. God knows what direction she ran. Kids panic. They don't think straight. They follow water sometimes. Or worse, they hide. They hide when they're scared. They think they're in trouble, so they curl up under brush, tuck themselves into little holes, and you can walk right past them without knowing. We started with grid search. Flashlights, loud calls, combing every visible trail. But the woods were slick, muddy, and half the trails were washed out. Voices echoed weird, like the trees were playing tricks on us. At some point, I slipped on a wet route, went down hard on my elbow. Didn't even feel it. Just got up and kept moving. 'Cause the only thing worse than not finding her was finding her too late. And I swear, as we moved deeper in, I kept thinking about my own daughter. When she was that age, how small her hand looked in mine. That's the dangerous part. When you start seeing your own kid in the face of the one you're searching for. It messes with your head. It makes the silence heavier. Makes every second feel like a failure. The rain kept coming. Sunlight was just about gone. We were 2 hours in, and I remember thinking, this is the edge. This is where you either find her, or you don't. I broke off from the main line around dusk. There was this old narrow runoff path, barely visible, leading down toward the creek bed. Didn't look like much, just a patch of earth worn thin by years of rain and boots. Something about it felt off. Familiar, maybe. I'd seen kids wander that way before, drawn to the sound of water, like it's calling 'em. So I peeled off, radioed my change in position, and went alone. Didn't say why. Didn't even think it through. I just went. That's instinct, I guess. 30 years of listening to a gut you can't explain. The ground was slick, soft like sponge. Every step sank a little deeper. Branches reached out, clawing at my jacket and gear. Visibility? Damn near zero. But I kept moving. I remember the sound of the creek starting to rise. You could hear it growing louder, angrier, the kind of sound that tells you time's running out. Then I heard something. It was faint, like a whimper, but not quite. I froze, held my breath, turned off my flashlight. Just listened. Nothing. Then again, softer this time, like someone breathing through tears. I took a few slow steps forward and shined the light toward the base of a fallen tree. There she was, curled up, soaked through. Her little knees pulled up to her chest, and her shoes halfway off. She looked like part of the forest, so still, so small, like the earth had tried to take her back. Her lips were blue, hands trembling, eyes wide open, but not really seeing me. She didn't cry, didn't move. That's what scared me most. I knelt down slow, not wanting to startle her. Said real soft, "Hey there, sweetheart. It's okay. I'm here to take you home." Nothing. I reached out, touched her shoulder. She flinched, but when I wrapped my arms around her, pulled her up against my chest, she didn't fight, just melted into me, like she'd been holding on with the last thread of herself. And when I touched her, that thread finally snapped, and she let go. Her body was ice. I could feel her heart beating, but slow, too slow. I wrapped her in my jacket, radioed in my location, voice shaking more than I liked. Said, "I got her. I got the girl. She's alive, barely." They told me they were 20 minutes out. I didn't have 20 minutes. I lifted her up. She weighed nothing, just bones and wet fabric. Her head rested against my neck, and that's when she whispered something. She said, "I didn't mean to hide." That broke something in me. I still hear that, even now. I didn't mean to hide. She thought she'd done something wrong, thought she was in trouble. And all I could say back was, "You didn't. You're okay now. I got you." I moved as fast as I could without falling. Slipped once, caught myself with my elbow again. Didn't let her go, not for a second. Every step back up that trail felt like climbing a mountain. I was soaked, breathing hard, legs screaming. But I didn't care. Only thing that mattered was keeping her warm, keeping her here. By the time I saw the lights from the responders coming down the hill, my legs nearly gave out. But I held on. I handed her off to the paramedics, real gentle. Watched them wrap her in blankets, check her vitals, and when they turned to go, I stood there like a damn statue. Mud on my face, blood on my arm, rain still falling, just watching her disappear into that ambulance. And I remember thinking, this time we made it, but barely, by a thread. You never forget the moment a life touches yours like that. Not when it's quiet, not when there's no screaming or hero music or people cheering. Just you and them in the middle of nowhere. Both of you hanging on to something invisible, like a thread of breath or hope, or whatever it is that keeps us here. She didn't say much. That little girl didn't cry, didn't ask for her mama. She just laid there against my chest as I carried her. And I remember so damn clear, I could feel her heartbeat through my jacket. It was faint, not weak, just small, like a bird's wings beaten against the inside of a box. Her skin was cold, but her breath was warm on my neck. Short, shallow, every little puff was a fight, like her body didn't know if it should keep trying. I kept whispering to her, nothing fancy, just words. It's okay, you're safe now. I'm not gonna let you go. And then she said that thing. I didn't mean to hide. Those 5 words. I've heard screams, heard sirens, heard men cry out with broken bones, and mothers sob over sons that didn't make it. But that whisper from a little girl so cold she could barely speak, that's the sound that stuck, because I realized she thought she was to blame. She thought the whole time we were looking for her, she'd done something wrong, like she deserved to be left there. I wanted to stop right then and there, hold her tighter, tell her, no, sweetheart, none of this was your fault. But I couldn't stop. We had to move. She needed heat, needed hands on her, needed help. I couldn't give right there. Still, those eyes. When I looked down at her, I saw those wide brown eyes blinking up at me, barely focused, not scared, not even sad, just tired, like she'd given up before I got there, and now she didn't quite believe I was real. And I get that. I do. Sometimes you hold out for so long, you forget how to hope. You just go quiet inside. I talked to her the whole way up, didn't stop once, told her my name, told her how proud I was of her for staying strong, told her how her mama was waiting with warm arms. At one point, she moved her fingers just a little, and she touched my collar, didn't grip it, just placed her hand there, like she needed to feel something real before she closed her eyes again. I think that was the moment, that exact moment, when she believed she was going to live. I carried a lot of people in my career, pulled guys out of wrecked cars, smoke-filled rooms, riverbanks, but I never felt nothing like that, like I was carrying something so fragile. Not her body, no, her trust. She didn't fight me, didn't ask questions. She gave herself over, completely. That's the part that tears me up still. When you carry someone who's surrendered like that, you don't forget it. And when I finally passed her off to the paramedics, she didn't cry or scream. She just looked back over the EMT's shoulder, right at me. And there it was again. That quiet, that tired trust. Like she was saying, you did what you came to do. She didn't say goodbye, didn't have to. That look, man, that look said everything. It said thank you. It said I was the last face she saw before hope came back. It said she'd remember me. And I still remember her. Every time it rains, every time I walk past a creek, every time I hear a child's voice in the woods. I close my eyes and I see her there, under that fallen tree, so still, so small. And then, in my arms, alive, the ambulance pulled out slow. No lights, no sirens, just steady. They didn't need to rush now. She was stable, cold but breathing, alive. I stood there in the mud long after they were gone. Couldn't move, couldn't even think straight. Just watched the tail lights disappear through the trees. My hands were still trembling. Not from the cold. Not really. It was the come down. That crash after the adrenaline wears off. And you realise just how close it all was. Back at the trailhead, the mother ran toward me. I thought she was going to say something, cry maybe. But she just grabbed my arm, real tight, and leaned her forehead into my chest. Didn't speak a word. Didn't have to. That moment, it was heavier than any thank you. We just stood there in the rain. Two people who had almost lost something that night. She got her baby back. And me. I got a piece of myself back too. I cleaned up at the station in silence. Elbow was cut up bad from where I'd fallen. Didn't even notice till someone pointed it out. Didn't care. Captain asked if I was okay. I nodded. He didn't press. He knew. I went home that night and sat on the porch, still in my uniform. Rain was light now, just a mist hanging in the air. Didn't sleep, just kept hearing that voice in my head. I didn't mean to hide. Next day, I called the hospital to check on her. Nurse told me she was going to be fine. Mild hypothermia. No injuries. Eating pancakes by noon. I laughed. First time in days. Told the nurse to tell her I said hi. Didn't leave my name. Didn't need to. Few weeks later, I got a letter. Crayon drawing. Little stick figure man holding hands with a tiny girl. Sun in the corner. Big red heart in the middle. No name, no words, just the drawing. I still have it. Framed in my shed. Because sometimes that's all the closure you get, and all the closure you need. I'd love to tell you I walked away from that call proud, like it filled me up with something good, like I carried it as a badge of honor. But that's not how it went. What stayed with me after wasn't the rescue. It was the almost, the knowing how close I came to failing her. How that trail could have led me the wrong way. How one more minute in that cold creek bed could have tipped the scale. It's a strange thing to save someone and still carry guilt. But that's what I felt. Because the whole ride home, the whole week after, I kept thinking about the moments I hesitated, the bend I took too slow, the call I almost didn't make on that trail split. I ran the whole thing through my head like a tape on loop. If I'd gone left, if I'd stopped to check the higher ridge first, if I hadn't heard her breathing, it ate at me. Not because I did anything wrong, but because I realized just how thin the line is. Between here and gone. Between a rescue and a recovery. That's the truth most people don't talk about. It ain't just about being brave. It's about time. And sometimes, luck. I started having dreams, not nightmares exactly. Just that moment, finding her. But in the dream, I'm too late. The tree is the same. The creek, the rain, all of it. Only she's not breathing. And I wake up with my heart pounding, shirt soaked through, like I'm still carrying her through the woods. I never told anyone that, not even my wife. Some things you just carry quiet. Years later, I saw her again. Random day. Was at a grocery store, of all places. She was maybe 13 by then. Taller, confident, smiling with her mum. Her mum recognized me first. She walked over real soft, like she didn't want to scare me off. Said, "She still remembers your name, draws you with a cape sometimes." I didn't know what to say. Then the girl came up, looked me right in the eye. Said, "I remember your voice." That hit me harder than I expected. She remembered my voice. Not the sirens, not the ambulance, not the cold. Me. That's when I let go of some of the guilt. Not all of it, but enough. 'Cause she was living, laughing, real. And if I had anything to do with that, even just a sliver, then I guess maybe all those heavy nights were worth it. I don't go back to those woods anymore, not because I'm scared, but because I don't need to. I already brought something out of there I'll never forget. Some memories fade. Most do, actually. Calls blur together. Faces fade out. Voices get quieter with time, but not this one. This one stayed sharp, clear, like it's carved into my bones. I think about her sometimes when I'm sitting on the porch, listening to the wind in the trees, especially when it rains. Something about the way it taps on the roof. It brings me right back to that night. Sometimes I still hear her say it. I didn't mean to hide. That line cuts deeper than anything else I ever heard on duty. Because that's how life works, don't it? We all hide in some way. We lose our way. We go quiet. And we just hope someone finds us before it's too late. And I wonder, how many people out there are still waiting to be found? I carry that question with me. Now that I'm retired, folks ask if I miss the action. The sirens, the trucks, the calls. Nah, I don't miss the noise. I miss the purpose. That moment when someone's world is falling apart, and you show up, and you hold it together long enough for them to breathe again. That's what stays. That little girl. She don't know what she gave me. I thought I saved her. Maybe I did. But she gave me something too. A reminder that sometimes all it takes is one person doing the right thing, at the right time, with a full heart, to bring someone home. And I think, when my time comes, when I'm walking toward whatever's next, that face, those eyes, that little hand on my collar, that's what I'll see. If you've made it this far, thank you. I didn't tell this story for sympathy, didn't tell it to be remembered. I told it because maybe someone out there needs to hear it. Maybe you've been that little girl, lost in the dark, cold, thinking no one's coming. Or maybe you've been the one searching, hoping it's not too late. Either way, I just want you to know, sometimes you only get one chance, one path, one moment to turn the right way and not give up. So don't stop listening. Don't stop looking. Don't stop believing that someone's still out there worth saving. And if you've got a story like this, if you've carried someone or been carried, leave it down below. I'll read it, I promise. We're not alone in this. Even after all these years, I still carry her with me. And maybe now, a little bit, you will too.